Why We Hate by Steven Spielberg is a 6-part documentary that examines the human capacity of hate, how it is generated in our minds, and how we can overcome it. Together, we will extract his key insights on one of our most primal and most destructive emotion. Welcome to Inspired Life. Let's get started with the origins. If we want to understand ourselves better, it helps to take a look at chimpanzees and bonobos, our close relatives. Having the same ancestors, they look pretty similar and live on different sides of the Congo River. Bonobos live in the south, in an area where there is enough food. Chimpanzees live in the north, in an area with a lack of food. They have to fight for it. Bonobos have developed a culture with little conflicts. A culture in which it pays off to be social. Chimpanzees have developed a culture in which aggression, especially towards outsiders, pays off. And in this way, they are pretty similar to us humans. But where does our moral, the foundation of our behavior, come from? Studies with babies suggest that our moral is to a large extent shaped by our biological evolution. Babies can already categorize in the matter of good and bad. And though this lays the foundation for respectful interaction with each other, it also is the foundation for rejection and for exclusion. And under certain circumstances, this can foster hate and violence. Gunmen in school shootings, for example, accumulate so much hate that they turn into mass murderers. They all expect something from the world that they don't get, and being rejected and socially excluded can hurt like physical pain. They collect the small injustices done to them till the pressure inside is so high that they lose their control. Part 2 is about tribalism. We humans divide the world in us and them, in black and white, so to speak. And we do this by many different factors, such as race, religion, or political affiliation. And we want to promote our own tribe. Our tribal affiliation is so strong that it determines our behavior more than our individuality does. In sports, for example, people feel a deep connection with their team. When hardcore fans are together with their peers, their identities merge in some kind of way. They merge into some kind of group identity. And when a person out of that group is being attacked, it feels as if the whole group is being attacked. This serves to protect the group, but it can also promote the development of hate. We see the world through the eyes of our tribe. We see through a specific filter. And the more we identify with our group, the stronger we filter. And the more we tend to ignore things that let our group look bad. This makes us so skeptical for fake news and propaganda. We see the inequality that is done to our side, but we don't see the inequalities that we do to others. Psychology is all about perception of reality, not about reality itself. Transferring this to politics means that once a political leader has redefined reality, he can easily get his tribe to perceive dissenting opinions as an attack. And together with fear and media that supports this view of the world, people get driven away from each other. And social foundations are being undermined. Dividing is so much easier than uniting. Let's move on to part 3, tools and tactics. In today's world, there are effective instruments to make people receptive for hatred. But propaganda doesn't only manipulate our thinking, it can also spur us to use violence. In Rwanda, for example, propaganda paved the way for genocide in the 1990s. A nation that was once united was increasingly being divided. The Tutsi minority was deliberately dehumanized. Tutsis were equated with cockroaches, and this lowered the threshold for using violence against them. Propaganda can make us abandon our moral principles, such as respect and kindness, and it can get us to classify whole groups of people as fundamentally different from us. But all this doesn't happen overnight. Propaganda rather overlays our mind bit by bit by bit. Politicians have always found ways to manipulate their followers. The demagogue first conjures up an enemy and then offers himself as a protector. The designed nightmare scenarios are not about facts, they are about creating emotions. And in the age of internet and social media, everyone who wants to stir up hatred and fear has a wealth of tools to do so. And once a hate atmosphere has been created and primeval fears have been awakened, a momentum of its own quickly develops. Therefore, it's all the more important that we maintain our will to critical thinking. Part 4: Extremism. For some years now, we have seen the return of ideologies that we hoped have been overcome. We are currently experiencing a political regression based on fear and on people's perception of being victims. This supports the growth of extremism. Outwardly, violence is the most visible characteristic of extremist groups. But inwardly, they offer emotional attachment, belonging, and guidance to the members. All things that they don't find in their everyday lives. And the brutality in which these groups are often acting is less based on the individuals and more based on the dynamics resulting from the roles and from the situation. Leaders of extremist movements mobilize their followers either by creating a sense of existential threat or by promising a higher goal. Among their leaders are always smart, charismatic, and determined people. People that can draw others under their spell. Their common narrative is my way or no way. All in all, the peace and social understanding that we have known in the Western world for so long is seriously at risk. We can still turn the tide. The only thing is, we have to do it. Part 5: Crimes against humanity. For a totalitarian regime to function, it needs cultivated and highly intelligent people. Personalities who are simultaneously fascinated and dazzled by an idea. Charismatic personalities that attract followers. And when such a regime gets into power, it must legitimize its violence. Hatred must be linked to ideology. The thing is that we all carry the potential of hatred within us. And the destructive ideology can not only awaken it, it can reinforce it to a collective phenomenon. But such collective crimes do not happen overnight. It's a process. Propaganda hammers us first in the head. They're not like us. We must protect ourselves from them. They are getting dehumanized, up to a point where their suffering is not perceived as human anymore. Influenced by the Holocaust in Nazi Germany, the psychologist Stanley Milgram even showed in 1961 that most people will inflict great suffering on other people, even to the point of death, if they are made to believe that they are doing it for something good. This shows that we humans are able to do terrible things. But the point is, we always have a choice, as long as we refuse to see the enemy in the other, and as long as we maintain the ability to think critically and to questioning things, There's no breeding ground for such crimes. And this brings us to the last part, the part about hope. We are all heirs of evolution, and our past is marked by violence, hatred, and war. But our mind has evolved into something very flexible. No association or thought, no prejudice is unchangeable. Perhaps it's time to understand us humans as a unity. Perhaps it's time to reach out to each other and understand that lasting peace is possible in this world. And even if it's the politicians that negotiate peace, it's the people who preserve it. If we develop an awareness of how prejudices arise, then we can take countermeasures already at an early stage. And if we know what makes us hate, then this awareness helps us to avoid that our mind is getting infected. Through mindfulness experiences, for example, processes that normally run subconsciously can be brought into our consciousness. And meditation can have the effect that we recognize our emotions already in the moment in which they arise. And in the end, it's about more than us as individuals. It's about building bridges over the supposedly unbridgeable. Only for this, we have to perceive each other as human beings. We may have difficulties of leaving our comfort zone, and we may have fear of change within us, but we also have the inheritance that helps us to open up and to connect. A heritage that helps us to overcome fears and to deeply care about each other. Let us get involved with this part of ourselves. In the end, there is much more that connects us than that what divides us. If this video has inspired you, please hit the like button. And if you're new here, subscribe for more videos about leading a fulfilled life.